Hey over there, Joe Lunchbox.
And Joy Nightingale.
And today we've landed right here in our nation's capital, Washington D.C. Now we're going to go to one of our favorite museums today, and we're really excited to bring you along. We're at the Smithsonian. Now yes, the Smithsonian is made up of a bunch of tiny museums. Today, it's the National Air and Space Museum. We were here a few years ago.
And the American history and the natural history.
Yep.
And couldn't get everything in.
No, well, we'll put the link to those videos down below. We didn't get to this one last time, so that's why we're back here to do it today. So, you want to come along with us? I think you should. Step right up. Let's go for this ride. Well, we'll see the museum if we can figure out how to get in. Okay, museum entrance on Jefferson Drive. I always love, once you're in past security, you just see it all right off the bat. I love seeing one of the lunar modules. Obviously, this wasn't one that actually was on the moon. This was one used for testing, because the ones from the moon are still on the moon. But it is very cool to see one. This would have been the same as the one on Apollo 11. And I love these. The capsules. Gemini 4. Achieved the first American spacewalk. A major step towards living and working in space. I wonder how scary it must have been. You're in this thing, you get launched into space, but to open that, knowing you're gonna step out where no one ever been before, just free floating in space. And here we have Mercury Friendship 7. This is the one that on February 20th, 1962, John Glenn became the first American to orbit the Earth. And it was the third U.S. Project Mercury mission. We were looking at the map, and sometimes you don't plan stuff in when I should, because I realize big changes are in the air. And I didn't realize that's closed, that's closed, that's closed, that's closed, that's closed, that's closed. So, yeah, there's not that much museum to look at today. But we'll still look at what there is to look at. Wright Cycle Company. I guess if we're talking about aviation, we should start at the beginning. It is amazing that two brothers that made bicycles ended up being the first people to create a successful airplane. And what's interesting about this bicycle is actually on loan from the Henry Ford, which is a museum we went to in Dearborn, Michigan. It's an awesome spot. We have to go back there one day. We actually got to see the actual Wright Brothers workshop. We'll put a link to that video down below too. It is amazing. I've always been fascinated by the Wright Brothers. Did book reports on them when I was a little kid. Been to Kitty Hawk when I was young. Still got to go there. But to see things sitting in front of us is the real 1903 Wright Flyer, not a reproduction. On December 17th, 1903, they flew this 852 feet, like sitting right here. And right now, we're looking at the front of the plane. If you see this little piece of wood that looks like a U, you'd be sitting on that, laying on that, facing forward, and the propellers behind, next to them, was pushing the plane towards us. It's crazy to think of like the test gliders using it as a kite. Then they went back in 1901 with another one, test flying the 1901 glider. I wonder how excited they were on those sand dunes of North Carolina. When the plane actually took off, they only flew a few hundred feet, almost 1,000 feet, but it was the first ones to fly. Here's a picture of them actually flying that plane. The Skylab Orbital Workshop. It is cool. It's one of the few buildings we're actually able to go in. And if you're asking what it is, the name really tells it. It's a lab that was in the sky that used to orbit Earth. And they worked in it. Rotating litter chair. I like Skylab shower was borrowed by NASA's Johnson Space Center in 1985 so that engineers could determine the best design for a whole body shower for the U.S. space station. It's like a personal vacuum supply. Individual food servings. Did they really eat space ice cream? I want to know. Someone tell me. If you're an astronaut there, leave a comment down below. Did astronauts really eat space ice cream? It is cool seeing all the rockets. And you know what they say about space? It's the final frontier. Time and navigation. Nana, is that you? These are cool. Flying boats. Spearhead aerial exploration, overseas transport in 1920 and 1930. These are some cool models. They really do look like boats that would fly. Learning about navigation radar using microwave signals to create images of ground features from signal time delays. Down to more modern GPS of like 95. The radar was from the 40s, 1944, and this one's 95. It's funny when you think about stuff that works of sight. Here we have some Hubble telescopes and bubble sextants of the early days, 1919, 1924. So pilots would figure out where they were going, level horizons, stuff like that. But the lower one is made by Bosch and Lomb. They make the contact solutions and stuff now. Imagine 1924, this is what they made. Always about sight though. And in the 40s, the planes were going so fast, so high, it was too cold to stick your head out, use stuff like that. So they had to put a plexiglass bubble on top of the planes so you can still navigate. Very interesting. These GPS receivers recorded positioning and provided simple geographical presentation of map data. Imagine everyone has a GPS right on their cell phone everywhere they go. This is from the 90s up till 2007. Here we have Stanley. Stanley was a car that used all this technology to self-drive itself, not remote control, without human, and won a prize in 2005 for the Grand Challenge, a robot race. Drivers not required. I need one of these so I could take like a 10-hour nap and wake up from the north to the south. Oh, that'd be amazing. Imagine going, oh, let's go to bed and we'll wake up in Chicago. That's how Stanley sees using laser sensor data. And here we have the cosmonauts, the first spacesuit ever to do a spacewalk. A spacesuit, an Apollo lunar suit from the Apollo 15 astronauts on. In 1971, you can still see the dust from the moon on the legs of the suit. We have crazy outer space cameras for spying. I spy with my little eye a giant camera. It's really interesting. It's about a break in the Cold War when the U.S. fired a spacecraft from Florida, and then the Soviets sent one up from Kazakhstan, and you can see an astronaut and a cosmonaut shaking hands in outer space. To me, that's awesome. There's a little, they said, a thawing of the Cold War for a little bit. Cool. We have a Hubble Telescope structural dynamic test vehicle. It's almost like a replica of the Hubble Telescope. Still going to outer space, sending back images. It's crazy how the space shuttle carried the Hubble and how it was released from the space shuttle. It's crazy. We're looking at holes, and they look like gunshot holes, but it's actually from impact from space debris traveling an average of 6 miles per second. It's cool, the space shuttle design concepts. I always wanted to be an astronaut, go up in a space shuttle when I was a kid. It's one of my early memories. I was only 4 years old, but I remember watching the Challenger take off with my mom, and I knew something went wrong, but I was so young I couldn't comprehend what happened, and she told me. It's one of my earliest memories. I could picture clearly watching TV with her. It still makes me really sad. Cool space shuttle toys. It's cute. Peanuts character. Snoopy has been a mascot for NASA since the 60s. have this model of the Columbia. The other space shuttle that didn't make it in mine and Joy's lifetime, when burnt up, coming back into the atmosphere. Really sad stuff. They have some stuff to remember the Columbia's crew. We have cool G.I. Joe spacemen, and it looks like a knockoff Barbie Space NASA crew. Some more cool space toys. What it was like being in space. Come inside and look around. What seems familiar? Is there any surprises? Imagine they lived in a space like this big. Joy, how would you feel being strapped in your bed so you don't float away at night?
Oh no.
Space bikes. Space food. Brownie. Ooh, your favorite, Joy. Pasta with shrimp. But no ice cream. I'm serious. Tell me about it.
Yeah.
The macaroni and cheese. Actually, it's the macaroni and cheese. No one ever told these astronauts you're not supposed to play with your food. You're supposed to eat it. That's better. Space poop. See, now I understand what Captain Kirk was talking about. Doing work on the space shuttles outside and repairing satellites, stuff like that. But all I have to say is, that space tool looks like a kid's ray gun from back in the day. I see Buck Rogers using something like that. Did you ever know even Smokey the Bear has gone to outer space? We have a watercolor painting done in 2009, but this is a reproduction. It's only a tribute to that watercolor painting done in outer space. Scott Hamilton's figure skating in outer space? This is something I've never seen before. So there you have it. The National Air and Space Museum, or part of it.
Yeah.
We didn't realize that almost all of it's closed. We saw some, which was good.
Yep.
But I guess it just means we gotta come back in late 2022 when it's all done to see the whole new National Air and Space Museum. So if you want to see that, you should subscribe to the channel just so you'll be around when we finally get back here, alright?
That's a good idea.
But if you like this one, give it a thumbs up. Let us know that you liked it. And I do want someone, an astronaut out there, comment. Do astronauts really eat space ice cream in space? I want to know. But for now, I think we could call it.
I think so.
National Air and Space Museum. Been there, done that. Remember, folks, safe travels.
Good eats.
And live life. I still have questions. Can you teach me about flight and drag? I want to know how it works. Can you teach me, Mr. Bird? You're the master of this. No, you're just gonna eat? Okay.